All right, I hope all of you are doing good. Thank you so much for watching. 1 minute to the game is about to start. Atletico Madrid versus, I was about to say Bayern Munich versus Arsenal. Actually, this game I believe is going to turn out to be really good, even if a lot of people thinks that this game is going to be boring. I mean, Arsenal, they haven't been playing like a fun game, That's the one thing. So I'm looking at the poly market, and if I go to game view, Arsenal actually they have high chance of winning the game. Look at this, they have 42% of winning the game. That is absolutely crazy in Metropolitano. And actually, Arsenal fans they complained. Even Arteta complained today that the grass is kinda high. So hey, Case, how are you? How you doing? You see, Arsenal staff were unhappy with the length of the grass on the pitch at Metropolitano ahead of the game. Even I believe Barcelona complained about the you know the how the grass are cut in Barcelona. In Atletico Madrid's stadium. They know what they're doing. It's Simeone. He's going to play haram game, haram football. Okay, so how you doing? What's your prediction in today's game? So as you can see, Arsenal they have 42% of winning the game, 28% draw. By the way, I'm not encouraging anyone to use Polymarket to bet. I'm not here to advertise anyone. I just love this platform to look at the percentage and look at the prediction what other people thinks. So it's not something that I'm advertising. So Atletico they haven't been doing really good in La Liga. That's another thing I have to say. They had a tough domestic campaign and a painful loss in Copa del Rey in the final against Real Sociedad. So now the Champions League is their last shot at the silverware. So this is the only thing that they have to win, and the game is about to start. I don't have to talk a lot. I just want to say I hope you guys are going to enjoy the game. Thank you so much for your time. I truly appreciate. And Case, his prediction is 0-0. Oops. Actually, my platform has a problem now. Oops. I hope you guys are going to enjoy the game. Thank you for your time, and also by that, thank you for your support if you subscribe and stuff like that. So let's enjoy the game.
The Atletico Madrid president Enrique Cerezo spoke to reporters earlier this evening and brushed off those complaints with a smile, saying, I bet they haven't come here to see it for themselves. He says the pitch is perfect. He says it's fantastic. He doesn't know what they're complaining about. Well, the early signs, especially from Hincapié there, suggests maybe those critiques were not unfounded, as it's juggled on this right-hand side by Llorente, the 31-year-old fullback. A free kick goes Atletico's way. Gyökeres was left on his rear end, but it will be the Atletico set piece, which they work across their back line. Forward to the London-born Ademola Lookman, Nigeria international, came through the ranks at Charlton. He'll know Arsenal very well during his time in London youth football. Here he is, a real boost to Atletico this evening. Here is Lookman, tries to link up with Koke, the vastly experienced Atletico Madrid captain, and that'll trundle out of play for an Arsenal goal kick. Well, Koke has described this semi-final as like a first date with a girl you like. Antoine Griezmann speaks about this club. He says it's a word more than love. They've come so close, the pair of them. You have to turn your mind back to that famous All-Madrid final where Sergio Ramos broke Atletico hearts. They were both involved in that era. Koke now 34 years old. He suspects that this might be his last chance to lift the Champions League as Atletico Madrid captain, if they can make it to the final. Another slip on the near side. Hincapié kept his footing. Koke didn't. And that's a misplaced pass from Gabriel, which rolls out of play on the near side. Koke will take the throw in for Atletico Madrid. Both managers on the edge of their technical areas, as they so often like to stay. Diego Simeone, it's always become a trademark of his, an all-black suit. Mikel Arteta, inspired by Pep Guardiola, not just in terms of his coaching, but his fashion sense as well. Nice pair of grey chinos paired with that turtleneck and bomber jacket on the touchline. Here's the Slovakian Hansko. Looks to play it down the left-hand side. A little bit too much on the pass towards Ademola Lookman, so Arsenal will have the throw-in just inside the Atletico half of the pitch. Well, a mixed bag of results for Arsenal over recent weeks. Defeats to Bournemouth and Manchester City. They beat Sporting Lisbon away in Portugal, but it was a narrow win and a 0-0 victory. 0-0 result, I should say, at the Emirates in the return leg, which has seen them travel to the Metropolitano this evening. Here comes Alvarez looking for Griezmann. It's good work from Hincapié just to get his body across the Frenchman and clear the danger. Up towards halfway where it's picked up by Mark Pubel. No Hansko. Just outside the centre circle. Down the left-hand side for Ademola Lookman. It's got Ruggeri in support alongside him. Lookman back into midfield for the United States international Johnny Cardoso. Brazilian-born, USA native. Here's Koke. Hansko, the Slovakia international, on the left-hand side of those two centre-backs. Lookman on the left, plays it against White. Get another bite at it, and we'll turn it backwards. Ruggeri, here's cross-blocked, and this time picked up by Declan Rice. Finds Martinelli, trying to chart a course to the middle of the Atletico Madrid midfield. The loose ball bounces back to him on this right-hand side, and he'll feed Noni Madueke. Steps infield onto his left foot, Madueke. That's laid off to the Arsenal captain, Ødegaard. The cutback pulled into midfield. Here's Hincapié. 35 yards from goal. Arsenal keeping the ball pretty confidently here, with Zubimendi in control of it at the moment. Laid off to Gabriel. Now here's Declan Rice. Probably one of their players of the season, you'd say, Arsenal. Rice. Here's Madueke, little chop on the corner of the box and burst past two men into the penalty area. High ball towards the back post. They're closing in on it, but it's behind. It was Piero Hincapié and Gabriel Martinelli both there. I think they might have really gotten each other's way, to be honest. It's brilliant from Noni Madueke, just accelerated past both Lookman and Ruggeri to open up the space for the cross. And I think Hincapié probably has the better chance of this. Martinelli tries to rise. He's ducked underneath it, and I'm not sure Hincapié is expecting it to drop to him. It's pretty good defensive work, you have to say, from Giuliano Simeone, who just eases Martinelli underneath the fly to the ball. It's the first real chance of the evening. It's into the side netting. Griezmann works it back. Here's Hansko, edge of the centre circle. Pubel. Griezmann. First time layoff. Found Alvarez. Now Simeone. Koke. Floated out to the left-hand side for Lookman. White in his way. Madueke getting back defensively as well. Lookman edge of the penalty area. Finds Julian Alvarez, central position. Now Griezmann, right edge off the box. Tucks it round the corner for Simeone. Hincapié got his body across. And David Raya will hold on to it. They've given the free kick Arsenal's way. He just rolls that out in front of him. And Giuliano Simeone, the manager's son, with a tug on the shirt of Hincapié. I think it's actually gone beyond the byline, and so it'll be a goal kick rather than the free kick I mentioned earlier on. We think Arsenal's results have been a mixed bag. Atletico Madrid's results have been pretty poor, you have to say. 3 defeats in their last 5, including a defeat to Barcelona. Wasn't enough to see them knocked out of the Champions League. Damaging one away at Elche as well. And they're down to 10 men. Thiago Almada was sent off in that one. He's on the bench this evening. Ball over the top. It's a good interception as well. Stretching there was Giuliano Simeone. It dropped to Gabriel Martinelli, but he runs out of space on the left-hand side for Arsenal. And Llorente is clever enough to let that trundle over the byline for an Atletico Madrid goal kick. 8 minutes gone at the Estadio Metropolitano, and it's still goalless between Atletico and Arsenal. Here's Lookman. Potential 7 games remaining this season for Arsenal. A host of matches in the Premier League where Manchester City have made up ground. Arsenal have slipped a little, just enough to allow Pep Guardiola's side to breathe down their neck. City with a game in hand in the Premier League. Next up for them, Everton. Next up for Arsenal, Fulham. At one point they were talking, weren't they, about the quadruple, the potential for Arsenal to win it all. This is a huge opportunity tonight to reach a first European Cup since 2006. And they were speaking quite seriously, people around this club, about this team being capable of winning everything. Not necessarily within Arsenal itself, but the media and fans surrounding it. And that's how good they looked at some stages this season. But winning is all about momentum, and momentum has just started to ebb away from them. The domestic cups have gone. They've had those damaging league defeats. They're still right in the Premier League hunt, in pole position, albeit with a goal difference that isn't much to look at. They did beat Newcastle at the weekend, but again a stilted performance at times, and just the 1 goal in it. They need to score a few more to try and add to that breathing room over Manchester City tonight. A result wouldn't just be good for the Champions League campaign, but maybe confidence heading into those final games domestically. Here's Saliba. Bit of space inside the Atletico Madrid half of the pitch. It finds Madueke. Add to that, now his breathing room over Manchester City. Closed down rapidly by Johnny Cardoso. Tonight, a result wouldn't just be good for the Champions League campaign, but his childhood dream into those final, not just playing in the Champions League final, but lifting the trophy too. He would be the man with the armband on in Budapest if Arsenal are to make it all the way. Swings a left-footed ball into the penalty area away by Simeone. That's poked forward by Koke. Clever to turn back, find Griezmann. And Cardoso looked out to the left-hand side, the pass overhit, but Lookman not quite up to the idea anyway. It's a big week of European football, all the major European competitions into the semi-final stage. And English representation across all of those tournaments as well. Aston Villa taking on Nottingham Forest for a place in the final of the Europa League. And Crystal Palace on their travels in Krakow to face Shakhtar Donetsk. In uncharted waters for the Eagles. They're back in their familiar territory, right in the middle of the Premier League table. After last year's exploits, winning the FA Cup and then the Community Shield at the start of this season, you wouldn't put it past them, adding another trophy. Long towards Alvarez, tried to peel away from Gabriel, who got to the ball first, but it's Atletico Madrid on the second loose ball. Griezmann, edge of the penalty area, couldn't quite control the little cutback. Gabriel couldn't control the clearance. Here is Alvarez. Gabriel pokes it away. Koke. Now with Hansko. Ruggeri on the left-hand side. It's Alvarez again. For the moment, Simeone is playing in the centre-forward position. Madrid in the second loose ball. Julian Alvarez, the former City man, drops into the heart of the midfield. Llorente. Held up by Hincapié. Quick exchange of passes with Simeone and playing in the centre forward position. Piero Hincapié will see how to play for Atletico Madrid, throwing on the right-hand side. Different game entirely already for the one we saw last night between PSG and Bayern Munich. That one was a slugfest goal. Griezmann, every 10 minutes. The former City man drops on average every 10 minutes. 9 of them weren't there. Delicately poised as they head back. Llorente in the second leg next week. Held up by Hincapié. Throwing opportunity here for Atletico. Simeone with a long ball into the area. We'll see it of Gabriel. Atletico Madrid to midfield. That's a different game entirely already for the one we saw last night between PSG and Bayern Munich. That one was a slugfest goal. Griezmann, every 10 minutes. City man drops on average every 10 minutes. 9 of them weren't there. Back to delicately poised as they head back. Llorente in the second leg next week. Held up by Hincapié. Llorente. Throwing opportunity here for Simeone with a long ball of Gabriel. Here's Koke backwards. Atletico Madrid to midfield. That's a different game entirely already for the one really his penalty last night between PSG and Bayern Munich. That one was a slugfest goal. Griezmann, every 10 minutes. Jerry and Simeone, the two youngest in the starting lineup tonight for Atletico Madrid. Here's Alvarez on the edge of the penalty area. He's got an opportunity maybe to get a shot away, and he will. It's a good save from David Raya, diving away to his left. Julian Alvarez has 9 goals in the European Cup this season and almost added to another one there. Twisting and turning, got away from Gabriel. The tiniest of windows just opened up for Alvarez and he snapped his shot towards goal. It was a strong left hand from David Raya to push it round the post. First corner of the evening, and it's gone Madrid's way. That's the threat he poses, Alvarez. He's not a typical centre-forward as Griezmann in towards the goalkeeper who claws it out from underneath the crossbar. Back out to Griezmann on this right-hand side. Left-footed ball swung in towards the back post. And Gabriel had to get that one away because they were queuing up at the back post, Atletico. And now a chance for Arsenal to break. Led forward by Victor Gyökeres. Llorente gets across, tries to put him under a bit of pressure. Gyökeres into the penalty area. There's the cutback. Chance for Odegaard. 2 bodies in the way. And it's Cardoso that'll poke it free for Atletico Madrid. Just starting to open up with 15 minutes gone at the Estadio Metropolitano. Great chance for Martin Odegaard. If he can get a bit of elevation on the effort, that might have tested Jan Oblak. Brilliant defending though. Pupil and Hansko combining to just get in the Arsenal captain's way there. Here's Alvarez in the heart of the Arsenal half of the pitch. Now Griezmann will take over. Cardoso is down the left-hand side by Koke. Now Lookman. Griezmann. Hansko halfway. Pupil right to the centre circle. Lofted up towards the corner of the box. There's Simeone. Bounces off Hincapié. But in the process he's fouled him, and that'll be a free kick for Arsenal on the corner of their own penalty area. Referee tonight, Danny McAuley. He took charge of Feyenoord versus Groningen in the Eredivisie, a win for Feyenoord. He's one of the most experienced officials in the Champions League. Well, Arsenal might have conceded 5 goals in the Champions League this season, but only 3 of those have been shipped by David Raya. Here's Madueke. Little chop back onto his left, corner of the box, finds Odegaard. Madueke again. Hung in towards the penalty spot. Gyökeres just eased himself into a bit of space. At the back post was Hincapié, but he's just wrestled himself into that sort of position. And that means it'll be a free kick for Atletico Madrid. Danny McAuley took charge of the quarter-final between Nottingham Forest and Porto 13 days ago, and was involved in Arsenal's game against Bayer Leverkusen. 2-0 win in the end at the Emirates for the Gunners. This is 74th Champions League game. The referee First time he's reffed a game involving Atletico for 2 years. Last a 6-0 win for Atletico against Sparta Prague back in November of 2024. Could prove to be a good omen for Diego Simeone's side. Here's Odegaard. It's Rice just dropping between the two centre-halves. Now Saliba slightly to his left. Odegaard again. Slotting into that quarterback role. Odegaard. Rice. Saliba. White's made a run down the right-hand side and Saliba will look for him. Flag will stay down for the time being. Well, not anymore. There's the assistant referee on that far side, Hessel Stegsler. He raises his flag on that right flank. It's a little bit early from Ben White. Clever defending in the end though from Matteo Ruggeri. One of the latest generations of Italian players who have moved away from Serie A for opportunities. He's got plenty of them as well since joining Atletico Madrid back in the summer. 41 appearances now after switching across from Atalanta at the start of July. He's looking for his first goal as well, as Oblak's long ball is all the way through to David Raya at the other end of the pitch. The substitutes this evening for Arsenal, two goalkeepers, Kepa Arrizabalaga and Tommy Setford. Christian Mosquera, Ricardo Calafiori, Miles Lewis Skelly and Marley Salmon. The 16-year-old, big night for him. He centre back on the Arsenal bench this evening. Eberechieze, Christian Norgard joined Max Daumann, one of the latest Arsenal stars from the academy, alongside Bukayo Saka, Gabriel Jesus and Leandro Trossard. There's been whispers and rumours about a departure from the Emirates for the former Brighton man, linked with a return back to Belgium. Here's Martinelli on the left-hand side. Backwards to Gabriel. Rice in the centre circle. Arsenal with all their outfield players inside the Atletico half of the pitch. There's Gabriel again. That's down the left for Martinelli. Simeone backpedaling. Inside it goes to Zubimendi. Tries to go onto the back post. They've got options there, Arsenal. Gyökeres and Madueke both wanted the ball. And it's off an Atletico body in behind for a corner kick. Gyökeres has gone down holding his nose here. It was just an outstretched arm from David Hansko, I think it was. The two wingers have done well, and the ball's on the opposite flank, cutting in and adding to the numbers in the penalty area. He's actually caught one from his own teammate there, Victor Gyökeres. It was Noni Madueke who's caught him with his right arm as he challenged for that aerial ball. He might have drawn a little bit of blood as well. Referee Danny McKelly is just checking on Victor Gyökeres. He's cut his lip, the Swede who scored the all-important goal to take Sweden to the World Cup. Chance for Martin Odegaard to come across to the Arsenal medical team, take on some fluids. Warm, humid night in Madrid. They're expecting some rain. There was stormy conditions forecast. Arsenal's first corner tonight. They've scored 17 goals from corners in the Premier League. That is a Premier League record. It's uncharted territory, new for the league themselves this season. And that has been one of the criticisms of this Arsenal team, that Well, for a long period of the season, they have been barging teams aside with relative ease. They've done it not necessarily in the most eye-catching of ways. That won't matter to Arsenal fans, don't get me wrong. And if come the end of the season they lift the Premier League trophy and maybe even the Champions League, not many people will remember the way in which they went about doing it. Needs must, and what works, works, but they have had their critics this year. It's funny as well, because Atletico Madrid often receive the same criticism from members of the Spanish press and Spanish public about the way they set their stall out. And again, Diego Simeone makes no bones about the way he wants his teams to play him. It can be so difficult to break down. Barcelona, at their cost, found that out in the last round. Here's Madueke's ball towards the near post, pretty poor delivery, and Arsenal with some claims for a penalty. It was Martinelli that went down on the penalty spot. Capie was lurking there. He went down on a bit of contact with the Atletico Madrid players, and now Gabriel, as the ball goes out of play, will trot it back across to Danny McKelly to try and make his point. In fact, it was Gabriel rather, who was just held up by Koke, who held that left arm out, and Gabriel ran into it. I've met in the semi-final of a European competition before, back in the semi-finals of the Europa League in 2018. Arsenal winners of that one, lost out to Chelsea in the final. Thrown on the near side. Switch out towards the left. It was intended for Matteo Ruggeri. It's over the touchline for an Arsenal throw. It's swiftly taken by Ben White into William Saliba. And now time on the ball for the Frenchman. Rice backpedaling alongside the two centre-backs to help with the build-up play. Here's Subimendi. Now Rice. Koke trying to trigger the press. Rice again. Gabriel. Back to Raya. To Saliba. There's Alvarez close to him. Raya has to sweep it away rather hurriedly. And it's out of play on the far side for an Atleti throw-in. He looked to struggle a little bit with that initial pressure from Atletico Madrid. And it was a clearing kick delivered with a little bit of panic from the Arsenal goalkeeper. But they've won it back in a decent position. Wasted it immediately. Gabriel's ball overhit and straight into the gloves of Jan Oblak. Here's Rice. Wouldn't stick with him. Here's Lookman now. Griezmann. Alvarez back to Griezmann. Alvarez again. And he'll be joining Inter Miami at the end of the season. So this will be his final competitive appearance here at the Metropolitano. Oblak bounces away off Gabriel. Again over the touchline, throwing for Marcus Llorente. Ping downfield. There is Saliba mopping up. Gabriel. Saliba. Rice will take it off the defenders. Under a little bit of pressure as well. Cardoso on his heels, and that's a nice ball on the half turn into the middle of the park. Here we've seen Capie looking for Madueke, who had to scamper back and almost fight for possession, but he's on it now. And Capie in a central position at the moment with the ball on the right-hand side with Martin Odegaard. And Ben White, inside it goes by Saliba. Rice, Gabriel, and now into midfield for Capie. White, Madueke. White with the run down the right-hand side. Madueke will step in field. Try to feed it in towards Martin Odegaard. Coming away with it down that left-hand side comes Koke. Now here's Lookman. Edge of the penalty area finds Griezmann. Griezmann finds Lookman again. This time he tries to turn in the box. It's good defensive work by Madueke, adding to the numbers in the penalty area. Left-hand side now with Ruggieri. Fizzed in there, away by Saliba. Now here's Hansko. Cardoso. That's off Madueke. Koke. Cardoso. Griezmann. Lent it to Koke. Now Griezmann finds Ruggieri, left-hand side, and it's a headed effort by Alvarez from the penalty spot that's over the crossbar. It's been a good start for Atletico Madrid. You expected Arsenal would dominate possession this evening, and that's what the not quite what the statistics are telling us. It's 53 to 47, 54, 46 on in terms of possession between the hosts and the visitors. Madueke, was he caught there by Ruggieri? Wants a free kick. And Danny McKelly is going to wave away his appeals. Just the one shot on target so far, with almost half an hour played now. Zubimendi tussling for it, Cardoso. A little unsettled. Back heel under pressure by Ruggieri. Now Hansko. Cardoso. Here's Odegaard. Relentless for the moment, Arsenal. Here's Madueke, edge of the penalty area. Madueke tries his luck from a long way out. And it's not too far away, you know. Oblak was concerned for a moment before it faded away from his right hand upright. Just tracks across the face of the penalty area. Oblak might have had it covered, but it's a brilliant effort from Noni Madueke. Martinelli. Zubimendi. Martinelli on the half turn, bounces through to Gyökeres. Odegaard couldn't take it with him, and Oblak will clear the danger for Madrid. That's tucked back by Cardoso to Oblak. On the right hand side, Simeone backing into Hincapié. Now it's not quite the pulsating semi-final first leg that we saw between PSG and Bayern Munich. We weren't expecting that, but still just as fascinating in its own right. Here's Odegaard, right of centre. Chance maybe for Arsenal to create something as we get closer to half-time at the Estadio Metropolitano. It's Atletico with the only shot on target so far. Left-hand side is Martinelli now. Just seeing how he gets on as he drifts infield. Hincapié. Martinelli. Laid off to Gabriel. Back to the edge of the centre circle, Saliba. Gabriel, he has to turn for home again. And it's David Raya who finds Declan Rice, who it is on the right-hand side of that back line at the moment. Saliba, he's run into trouble, and now here's Lookman poking the ball free. Back to Ademola Lookman, edge of the penalty area. Not too many around him, we'll find one of them. It's Griezmann, corner of the penalty area near side. Giuliano Simeone tried to find Julian Alvarez, caught on his heels as he was coming back from an offside position. He wasn't offside, you know. He just couldn't quite make the most of that ball won in the Arsenal half of the pitch, Atletico Madrid. I was a little bit surprised that Ademola Lookman didn't take on a few more then. And William Saliba as well, maybe slightly overconfident in the way in which he tried to take that on and drive that forward for Arsenal. It's often how they play, pushing into midfield, the two centre-backs, to try and open up some gaps in the opposition back line. They do have to be careful. With about 10 minutes of the first half remaining, it's still Atletico Madrid 0, Arsenal 0 at the Estadio Metropolitano. Assistant referee, it didn't come, and there's an element of frustration just starting to creep into Arsenal's game as half-time beckons. Get the ball moving again, Atletico Madrid. Down this left-hand side it goes. He's Oblak. Kubel. Similar one driven down the left flank where Saliba can just tidy that up and slip it back to the goalkeeper. Raya, and they've lost it again in a dangerous position here, Arsenal. Koke, Alvarez, edge of the penalty area. Will it open up for him? Tries his luck anyway. It's straight at Gabriel, and then Julian Alvarez, in trying to win it back, he's fouled the Arsenal defender on the edge of the penalty area. But the effort is applauded by Diego Simeone, the Atletico Madrid manager. It's a combination of Nkapie and Gabriel, just making sure that that didn't threaten the Arsenal goal. And there it is again, that press from Atletico Madrid. Three of them in a line on the edge of the Arsenal penalty area, almost teasing Raya into going long. He'll play it short to Rice, shuffles that to his left with his back to play to William Saliba. It's back with David Raya again. Here's Odegaard for Declan Rice. Rice stepping away. Martinelli slides it down the left for Nkapie. Gyökeres made the diagonal run. Nkapie elects instead to go infield to Zubimendi. Wandering through the centre circle. He'll now find William Saliba. Zubimendi inside right. Saliba. White. Tried to slip it through to Madueke. Broken up just outside the penalty area. That's a loose pass from Cardoso. And here comes Nkapie. It's White out there on the right-hand side. Atletico want the throw-in. Nigeri's claims turns down by the assistant referee. Rijeri, Lookman and Cardoso all trying to be careful here for Atletico Madrid. It's a Switch of play out to Gabriel Martinelli, who thought he